What is up, Galaxians? Welcome to another Wednesday live edition of the Galaxy CDs, Rocks, and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. My name is Ryan, and in today's episode, we're doing something completely different than what I had planned. So initially, I was talking about doing just a live listing, coffee and conversation, which we'll have the conversation, and I've got my coffee. I hope you've got yours. But in the meantime, eBay dropped their summer seller update on us this morning, and I thought that was probably not only more interesting, but more relevant. So that's actually what we're going to go over today. I needed the coffee this morning. Boy, it has been a week. So hopefully your week is going well. Normally, this Wednesday show is an exclusive for YouTube Live only, but podcast listeners, you're in for a treat. I am actually going to upload this when we're done here today so that you get my take on the summer seller update as well. Typically, I have not looked at today's other than to pull it up on the screen here, which I will share with you in just a moment. But the last few of these have not had a ton of kind of new information. So they've become more of a recap of existing plans and things that have already gone on. It used to be back in the day, they would do this and they would tell you, okay, for fourth quarter, we're going to do X and Y, and you're going to have to do these item specifics, and this thing is happening and that thing is happening. But the last probably 3 or 4 of these have been much more about recapping things that are already kind of works in progress or things that they've already done. So we'll see what we've got here today, if there's anything new or particularly interesting. But before I jump into that, I do want to jump into the chat and recognize a few people who are here. Lord Jake Ryan, as always, thank you for coming out. Miss Lachey Resells, hello, and hello to everyone else in the chat as well. Mickey in Orlando, let's go. Excited for this. I'm always excited for these seller updates just to see if there's anything cool coming our way. Big Dre, good morning. While on vacation over the weekend, I made an Irish iced coffee with alcoholic whipped cream. It was excellent. That sounds pretty good. Vintage Memories, I'm actually on my 3rd cup of coffee this hump day Wednesday. Dirt is better than diamonds. Good morning. And Operani on eBay. Hello from Kentucky. Yep, there's another one popping up here. Liz O'Kane. Hi. Looking forward to hearing your breakdown. We'll see how that goes. Welcome. Thanks for coming out, Liz. We'll stick around as long as I can. Yeah, I know you've got some stuff going on over there. I hope everything is going well. With that, let's get into this thing and see what we've got. So, as is usually the case, and I will go back and link to this in the show notes. So if you want to go back and read it yourself, eBay is usually pretty good about emailing this to you and having it in your messages. So that'll probably be coming pretty soon as well. But they've got it broken down, it looks like, into just 3 segments this time. Normally, why do I want to say there were 5 or 6 last time? I don't know, but there's 3. Grow your business, improve tools to help you run your business more efficiently, and optimize your business operations. So that's kind of the 3 things they're going to talk about. It looks like they've only got really 1 link in each of those. So let's just get in here and see what we got. Grow your business, a reimagined advertising experience. What you need to know, they say. The advertising experience you've been waiting for is almost here. It's been completely reimagined and redesigned to give you a powerful new experience that will help you take your business to new heights. This includes a simplified portfolio and a brand new advertising dashboard that can help amplify your campaign performance to accelerate your sales. I think this is something they talked about back at Summer Seller Check-In, that there were some changes coming to these screens to allow you a little more granular control and a little more detail about how your campaigns were working. Promoting made simpler. Promoted listings, they're going to combine promoted listings standard and advanced under 1 tab, just called promoted listings. When promoting those listings, you'll be able to choose from 2 different campaign strategies depending on which fits the needs of your business. They have, it looks like, renamed these the priority campaign strategy, which was previously promoted listings advanced. Provides you with priority access to ad placements with advanced controls. And again, this is the pay per click. You'll only pay when people click on your ads. The general campaign strategy, which was previously promoted listing standard, provides you with general access to ad placements with standard controls, and you only pay when your item sells. So the programs themselves are not changing, at least according to my reading of that, but the names of them are. And again, there's going to be some differences in the controls. I don't know really that that's new. I don't use the, what is it called now? Priority campaign strategy. If you had naming conventions for ad programs on your bingo card of things you'd like eBay to be working on, congratulations, you're a winner. But that's the first thing they've got here. They're changing the name of those and combining them under one tab. Promoted Stores, which was previously known as Promoted Display, gives you the opportunity to launch ads that help drive traffic to your eBay store and increase the visibility of your brand amongst interested buyers. I'll be completely honest, I've never heard of Promoted Display. You can let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching the replay, if that's something you've done. And then Promoted Offsite, which was previously known as Offsite Ads, which is their current big push over there on eBay, helps you reach new buyers and increase external traffic by showing your ads to those starting their shopping journey off eBay. So, for instance, on Google. So that's kind of interesting. Again, can't tell from that. Doesn't look like the name, anything's changed, but the names of the programs. Anyway, moving on. Get ready for a brand new advertising dashboard. We're introducing a redesigned and simplified advertising dashboard that they say will give you real-time performance data across all of your campaigns, empowering you to make data-driven decisions with more enhanced metrics. They say advertising is getting its own spotlight to give you a more intuitive and streamlined advertising experience. We've revamped Seller Hub Marketing tab and are introducing a brand new advertising tab. This dashboard will now only ever be a quick click away in Seller Hub. So I suppose that's helpful. From here, you'll be able to see all your campaigns in one central place so you can analyze your performance and take action. What else is new? More metrics that matter so you can control and help improve the performance of your campaign. The more information they can give us, the happier I will be. I want to see how many clicks am I getting? How many sales are those clicks generating? How much am I paying for those if I'm doing a promoted, whatever it's called now, the priority campaign strategy. I want to see what it's costing me versus how much I'm getting out of it. So if there's more data there and it's easier to access, that's a win. Ready to launch campaigns tailored to what buyers are shopping for and built to help you reach them. I'm always a little skeptical. If these are campaigns that are built by eBay, I'm always a little skeptical of that sort of thing. It does make it easier, but it obviously, this is just my maybe slightly cynical take, it's probably designed to favor eBay more than it might be your individual situation. That's just my take on that. I don't like kind of cookie cutter prefab campaigns. I want to create my own, how much I want to spend, what I want to run them on, and that kind of thing. So again, you can let me know in the chat or in the comments what you think of that, but I'm not a huge fan of those types of programs. Personalized campaign recommendations and insights based on buyer trends and your inventory, so you can identify new advertising opportunities and target more effectively. And a simplified campaign creation process that offers an effortless setup and intelligent recommendations, making it easier than ever to get started. Again, if they can give you more data and make it simpler to get started, that's great. If you've been following me for a while, you know that even in the what was formerly known as the standard promoted listings, the percentage that they recommend on a daily basis always seems to be higher than what I want to do and probably higher than what you want to do as well. Sometimes, like Monday morning when I went in to do some promotions, it was like almost 11% was the recommended number. That is a big, big chunk. So again, you can let me know what you think. Sounds good. Here's what's next. These changes are just around the corner, so it's not live yet. Soon you'll be able to dive into the new advertising dashboard and take a what's new tour. That's always helpful to see the exciting updates. And then there's a list of questions here. How does the new advertising experience differ from the previous one? They say it's more intuitive and data-driven, offering real-time performance metrics, personalized recommendations based on current trends, and a streamlined process for creating and managing campaigns. This is a kind of a big one. Will I need to recreate existing campaigns? No, your existing campaigns will remain intact. So that's good news. You're not going to have to, if you've got an ongoing campaign in any of these forms, when the names change and the dashboard changes, you don't have to reset up your campaign. Thank goodness. We recommend reviewing them, they say, in the updated dashboard to take advantage of the new features and recommendations that can help you improve their performance, however. How do I find my dashboard? It will be just a click away from anywhere in Seller Hub. There'll be a new advertising tab. How much does it cost to advertise on eBay? You're in control of your advertising spend, whether you're looking to set a daily budget or pay a percentage of each sale. We provide tools that support every campaign budget. And lastly, what tools can I find on this tab? What tools can I find on the marketing tab? On the new advertising tab, they say you can find the advertising dashboard and campaign creation and management tools designed to help you promote your listings or shop to help reach more buyers and drive sales. On the marketing tab, you'll continue to find marketing tools used to connect to buyers, including sale events, automated offers, and more. So those two are different. Marketing is directly to specific buyers or running a sale, a markdown sale or whatever, like I do every month. Advertising is more kind of the promoted listings and the offsite ads type campaigns. So that's interesting. We'll see how it looks when it comes out. The name change to me seems kind of superfluous, if you will, but good on them. We'll see what this looks like when it rolls out. There's no date listed here that I can see when we can expect to see this. They just say coming soon. So there you go. Let's hop back over here into the chat. And we'll go here. Vintage Memories shipping question. Where do you obtain your book box that you use for shipping? There should be a link actually in the show notes and the video description down below. I get almost everything actually from a company called Value Mailers right on eBay. They've got good prices. The stuff is good quality. I get all my bubble mailers, almost all my boxes and bubble wrap from them. Really like them a lot. So I get that all from them on eBay. Media Picker, I'm here. Welcome. Dolly Day Finds iced coffee in South Carolina. Awesome. I'm not. Let me know in the chat. I did a poll. Gosh, what was that? A week ago? I think I've still got it here. A survey about soda. Which is it? Soda pop or soda pop? And to your credit, actually, most of you chose water, which I thought was really interesting. So let me know today, iced coffee or regular coffee or both? You can let me know in the chat what you think there. I'm not a big iced coffee guy. Media Picker. So basically, they're trying to confuse sellers to select the priority campaign by accident. I suppose the difference in the terminology, priority versus general versus advanced and standard, is probably a little more specific about what those campaigns are designed to do. Since you're getting priority placement with those ads, I guess I get it. Anytime you change the names, it's obviously has the potential to lead to confusion. So I don't know that it was malicious, but I think it does better differentiate those campaigns, even though I still find it highly unnecessary. Playroom says, hello there. Black Cat Flips, welcome. Sneaking this in at work. Okay, I'll try to be quiet. And Miss Lachey, regular coffee. Awesome. Mickey in Orlando, it's Coke. No matter what kind of soda, Coke is Coke. Dr. Pepper is Coke. When they ask what kind of Coke you'd like, you answer Dr. Pepper or whatever you are drinking that day. That's another one, Coke or Pepsi. When I try to order a Coke, and I don't drink pop really, but when I did, I would order a Coke and they would come back and say, how about Pepsi? And I would say, how about water? I'm not a Pepsi guy. Big Dre, 0 sales on eBay while using time away. Only 1 sale on Mercari for $119. A pair of boots on the weekend. Sales on eBay went back to normal as soon as I turned off time away. And that's, to be fair, about what I would expect. Especially if someone's trying to order something that's got any kind of timeliness to it, if they see you're away and not going to be back, I probably would not make a purchase either. That's just me. Ernie, have you noticed feedback removed? My negative and neutral feedback in both my stores is gone. Is this common? I have not. When I looked this morning, mine was all still showing, so I don't know. I did see yesterday somebody posted that in the mobile app, when you were looking at like listings, that the seller information was missing. So I don't know if they are experimenting again with the look that they're showing to people, but I had not noticed anything there with feedback. Anybody else in the chat can chime in and let us know. Did you see anything? Vintage Memories, real hot coffee. Yes, absolutely. Big Dre, I prefer hot coffee, but my wife got me used to iced coffee. That's fair enough. Coffee, no ice, right? Jim, welcome. I haven't talked to you in a while. Good to see you. Better health blessing. Good morning. Good morning to you as well. So let's hop back over here and see what these improved tools to help you run your business more efficiently is all about. They say it's a new desktop messaging experience. This is, again, to be fair, this is probably a recap. They've been talking about this new messaging experience for quite some time. What you need to know, you'll soon see messages between you and your buyers in a whole new way on desktop. Maybe it is new on desktop, to be fair. The mobile one changed a while ago. The desktop, that might actually be new. I assume it's going to look more like what they're doing on mobile. Our new messaging experience features the familiarity and ease of modern messaging apps, while upgrades to search help you quickly find the details you need within your message. You'll be better connected to your buyers, and it'll be easier to manage your messages. Making things clear when you need to answer a question or reach out to a buyer, you'll find all the previous messages between you connected on the same thread. So you'll be able to see the context of the conversation without the hassle of sifting through multiple emails. I've already seen that on desktop. I just saw it this morning. So this is something that sounds like they've probably already done. You can also see that your inbox has been streamlined for a cleaner display and to let you easily navigate between different folders. It's a clear and modern approach that's easy to use and brings the look and feel you've told us you love on mobile to your desktop. They say you'll start seeing these changes in July, but if you'd like to try the new experience sooner, you can click the Try It Now link at the top of your inbox. Maybe I did that because I am, in fact, already seeing this. And don't worry, the classic experience will still be available for the next few months so you can get used to the new look. To be fair, I did that on mobile. I stuck with the old one for probably way longer than I should have. But now that I'm using the new one, I kind of like it. So that's essentially it there. Not a whole bunch. It says improved tools. That's only one tool. I got my cynical hat on again today, maybe a little bit. But if they can make messaging easier, and again, the ability to see an entire thread where you can kind of trace a conversation, particularly if you're dealing with a customer issue, would be very, very helpful. So that looks good to me. Optimize your business operations. This is probably a big one. Prepare to comply with upcoming general product safety regulations if you sell to buyers in the EU and Northern Ireland. This stuff has been brewing for some time. There have been changes over the last couple years in how you have to list and ship things over there. It's the EU. They're like California. They have all kinds of their own like rules and regulations. Effective from December 13th, 2024, the General Product Safety Regulation, GPSR, aims to ensure the sale of safe products to buyers in the EU and Northern Ireland. This regulation applies to both new and secondhand products sold in these markets, and it introduces specific requirements for businesses regarding product safety information. Here's a handy learn more. Let's see what it says. What you need to know: all business sellers listing items for sale in the EU and Northern Ireland must include the following information. Now, I note that this says business sellers, so I don't know if that means if you are registered on eBay as a business account or if you're just selling generally on eBay but registered as a personal account. That's something I probably would want some clarity on. The product manufacturer's name and contact information. That's an extra step that you would have to look up to find that. Obviously, the name is not a big deal. If it's a Sony camcorder, you know it's Sony, but getting contact information for that vendor would be an extra step in your listing, absolutely. If the manufacturer isn't located in the EU or Northern Ireland, you'll have to indicate a EU-based responsible person or entity along with their name and contact details. Any relevant product information like model number, pictures, type, and CE marking, which is a big one. Product safety and compliance information like safety warnings, labels, and product manuals in the local language. We'll be introducing new functionality in July, so you can add this information to your listings. In the meantime, we recommend that you start collecting the necessary details to ensure compliance. So this is, I would say, if you're selling particularly electronics, I feel like this is really based more in that category than most others. You're going to want to get some ducks in a row for this, which rolls out in December. If I am a seller located in Canada and selling domestically or only to the Canada and the US, does it apply to me? No, is the short answer. What type of product safety do I need to include? Product safety information, rather, do I need to include? You'll have to display any applicable instructions, warning for safe use and disposal, and safety information for the product you're selling. This information must be presented in the local language of the country your item is being sold. So again, imagine Europe has Portuguese and Spanish and Italian and German and Dutch and French and English, and that is potentially a boatload of information that they're requiring in these listings. That would rule me out. To be completely fair, that I would not be able or interested in complying with that personally. I would probably stop selling those items over there. Where can I find the above information? It can be found on the product, on its packaging, or in any accompanying documents. You can also reach out to the product manufacturer if you don't have this information. Good luck with that. I'm Galaxy CDs Rocks in Ohio, selling one Sony camcorder on eBay that I want to list in Europe. Can you send me all of this stuff? Interesting. What categories are excluded from the GPSR? The following products and categories are excluded: medicinal products, food and feed products. You would think food would be included in safety, but anyway. Living animals and plants, genetically modified organisms and microorganisms. This sounds like a who's who of bad things. Animal byproducts, plant protection products, pesticides, plant and animal products related to their reproduction, antiques, aircraft. You would think a safety manual on an aircraft might be an important thing to have. Travel equipment operated by a service provider to transport customers, products that need to be repaired, reconditioned, or recycled prior to being used and are clearly marked as such. Interesting. Does it apply to collectible items? Yes, it still applies even if the item is considered collectible. What does the responsible person need to do? The EU or Northern Ireland-based responsible person is in charge of specific tasks related to compliance and product safety, including checking that the EU Declaration of Conformity, CE marking, and other technical documents are in order and providing them to the market surveillance authorities to demonstrate the conformity of the product. Again, if you are an individual seller selling individual one-off items to Europe, I just think this regulation is probably prohibitive from being able to do that. We'll see when we go back to the other page if maybe eBay in the international shipping program is going to have some kind of resource for this, but this is a massive, massive list of regulations. Informing the market surveillance authorities about dangerous products and accidents, cooperating with the market surveillance authority, ensuring the necessary actions are taken to rectify any non-compliance issues, and providing documented evidence of the checks that were performed if requested by the authorities. Who can be the responsible person? They can be the manufacturer, an importer, an authorized representative of the manufacturer, or a fulfillment service provider if the above representatives are not based in the EU or Northern Ireland. If the manufacturer is not there, how can I identify the responsible person? If you're a seller, you can contact the manufacturer or your upstream supplier to obtain the name and contact details of the EU or NI-based responsible person. So maybe the vendors, maybe the manufacturers already have someone set up, and you just need to try to find out who that person is and then include their name without their knowledge. No, you would never do that, right? Wow. If you're a manufacturer or brand owner that's based outside the EU or NI, or already have someone there, it may be possible to appoint them as the responsible person. Can eBay help me find a responsible person? We're searching for external service providers that would support you with appointing an EU or Northern Ireland-based responsible person. We'll update this page and share more information when it's available. So that is a no. That, again, massive, massive regulation change for people shipping, looks like particularly electronic items to Europe and Northern Ireland. You need to be aware of it and think about how you are going to try to attack complying to that. As they say, the scope of this program applies to new, secondhand, repaired, and reconditioned items sold on eBay and all other marketplaces. So to be fair, this is not an eBay exclusive. If you're selling these on any other site or on your own, on Shopify or whatever, and you're shipping over to those countries, you're going to fall under this regulation. A few products and categories that are excluded. We just went through that. Complying, it requires all business sellers to add those information. Again, the product manufacturer's name, the responsible person, all the relevant information. They say they're working on a new feature to help simplify that process, and they'll get back to us. Be ready to comply when the regulation goes into effect. That, my friends, is a mess. With that, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee here. So let's take a quick break. If you have anything to add to any of that, leave it in the chat real quick. Much better, much better. So yeah, if you're selling products to EU, that is a massive undertaking. And the list of exclusions is not really all that huge. So I'm curious what that's going to look like. If there's anybody who's currently selling those types of products, this obviously was announced a while ago that this was coming. Have you started to do any research? Have you found a responsible person? Have you been able to get any of the data and information that they would be looking for? Because I wouldn't begin to know where to look for some of that stuff. And that is about it on the Summer Seller Update. They've only got just those 3 tabs, and there's not really, again, not a whole ton new there. Renaming a couple of the ad programs, an update coming to a new advertising dashboard, a quick update to messaging on desktop, and then this list of new product regulations for items that are going to go to Europe. So it's quite a bit, but it's only 3 things. Goodness me. There is a share your thoughts link here where you can go in and take the survey, share your feedback and suggestions on way to improve the selling experience on eBay in this brief survey. So if you'd like to do that, that is there as well. Let's hop back over here into the chat real quick. Media Picker, glad I only ship media overseas. Yeah, media and books, and I guess I will have to go through on the handful of electronics items that I've got and remove them from the eBay International Shipping Program, because I would not have either the time, the desire, or the knowledge to comply with all of that. I guess I understand why they're doing it, but man, that is when people talk about onerous regulation. There was a link on eBay recently to one of their little groups of sellers that went to Washington to lobby the U.S. Congress and that. And one of the things they always talk about is onerous regulations and rules that apply to individual sellers like me working out of my basement. I'm just simply not set up to be able to comply with that level of regulatory requirement. And I would assume that most of the rest of us are not either. That is a very, very big ask. Anyway, so that's that with Summer Seller Update. No listing of any updates or changes to item specifics. This is usually where traditionally they have announced those. Knock wood, we have not had any of those. Gosh, since I want to say last fall, which is good news. I don't like having to make a lot of updates, so the fact that there aren't any actually makes me a little bit nervous for what might be coming as we get closer to fourth quarter. But nonetheless, nothing like that announced. No category changes announced here. No fee changes announced here, which there had been some rumors floating around that we might be seeing some fee updates. There's none of that either. So all in all, I wouldn't call it a massive set of changes in the recap, or in the update rather, but certainly not any bad news there other than the European stuff. Again, anybody in the chat that would like to discuss anything else reselling related today while we're all gathered here together, we got maybe 30 minutes left if you want. It looks like there's about 30 of us here in the room, so feel free to chime in and let us know what you'd be interested in. Media Picker says they'll send the update for item specifics in November. Yes, that has been the history. The winter seller update or the fall seller update, whichever one, it comes kind of mid-fall, and they talk about these updates will be coming in fourth quarter, and then you got to do them in like November when you're really trying to get geared up for the holiday season, which is obviously no bueno. That is not the time to be doing that. Hopefully eBay has gotten the message that that is not something that works for sellers, and it doesn't really work for eBay either because people put them off and then listings end up going missing and all the rest. So speaking of listings, there were some people that commented on the last podcast on Monday where I was talking about ghost listings, and several people have had multiple instances of that. I commented in the podcast that I had not experienced that, but a lot of you have. If you're here in the chat today and that's something that you have come across, let us know. Let's talk about how you got it resolved, and if you were able to get the defect removed. That's one of those things where I feel like eBay ought to make it right. Especially if you can prove with a sales record, and now that you've got product research going back 3 years, you should be able to show that you sold this item and then it mysteriously got relisted. Etsy is adding holidays to the processing schedule. Yes, I have that actually tabbed for the Monday podcast. They are I guess I'm unsure why they've done that, other than to give you an opportunity if you wanted to opt into them, because they finally had fixed the situation where they were counting like Monday holidays as a business day. They finally fixed that so you weren't getting dinged or having to send out a message and extend your handling time on items. But now they've added a pretty hefty list of dates, holidays that you can opt out of shipping. I just clicked the check all box and unchecked all of them. I don't ship on holidays because you can't go to the post office. So that seemed like why would I process an order on a holiday when I can't actually take it to the post office? It just seemed kind of counterintuitive. So let us know in the chat, do you process orders on holidays? Pirate Ship just sent out an email about USPS increasing rates July 1st and 14th. I hadn't seen anything about the 1st. I'll have to look at that. I don't think I've gotten that email yet as of this morning, but I'll check. The 14th is the big one that we've been talking about for the last month and change, where the media mail rates in particular and first class stamps are going to take big jumps. Operating on eBay, I've been auto paying eBay fees with a credit card. Do you know if they will be charging an extra processing fee for credit card payments in August when they stop taking American Express? I've not heard anything like that. I wouldn't think they would charge you an extra fee to pay your fees with a credit card. I guess I understand why they do it when you sell something, because that is a sale that benefits you. So you have costs involved with that. If you did your own credit card processing, those are the fees you would pay. But in a case where you are paying, unless of course you're Mercari, you don't pay those fees. The business pays those fees. So when you're paying eBay, I feel like they should be responsible for those. And again, that's just me and 30 odd years of business experience. I would not think they'll be adding any fees for that, but Lord only knows, I guess. Media Picker never had ghost listings. As always, I end and sell similar right before the listing renews. It usually generates a few sales offers when I do this. Somebody asked me a couple weeks ago if I did that, and I do not. I just let everything auto renew. I know a lot of people talk about getting some benefits. I suppose it depends on how many listings you have. I have sometimes hundreds a day that are ending, and it just wouldn't be logistically feasible for me to go in and then sell similar and then relist. Lord Jake Ryan, it doesn't make sense because some places where we ship are not open on those days. Yeah. And that was one of the big things when I raised the issue about Etsy not counting like a Monday U.S. postal holiday in your business metrics. The answer that I got back was that, well, they can't do that because Etsy is one site and it's worldwide and they couldn't possibly program in all those holidays. Well, they since have been able to do that because now it works like you would expect. When a Monday holiday comes up, you sell an item on Sunday, it says you should ship by Tuesday. So they were able to actually fix that. But now they're asking if you want to add that Monday holiday back into your handling time. And they say they want to do it to show more accurate shipping and arrival times, but that's counterintuitive to me because you've still got that Monday where you can't take the thing to the post office. So if you process an order on Monday, but you can't actually get it physically shipped, you're showing in theory, 1 day earlier date than you actually intend to. So the logic of that whole thing, frankly, escapes me. If somebody from Etsy happens to be listening, chime in the chat and let us know. Playroom. So eBay sent me an email that I'm a top-rated seller now, but my handle time is 3 days. Do I need to change my handle time? They said I'm already top-rated, new to eBay. No, I think that's the minimum. 3 business day handling time is the minimum requirement to be a top-rated seller. You can do more than that. I do 1 business day, but the minimum requirement, I'm pretty sure, is 3 days. So as long as you are doing 3 days, I believe offering the free 30-day returns, there might be a couple other things there, you would be eligible to be top-rated. Actually, that's top-rated seller plus, but top-rated is definitely 3 days. Lord Jake Ryan, I got that email while you were live. It may be in my inbox, but I don't want to open my inbox on live YouTube just in case there's anything else in there that maybe wouldn't be fit for public consumption. Not that I do anything wild and crazy. Media Picker, I'm guessing no word on the government stepping in and stopping the USPS increase. I know it was discussed. Yeah, there was a letter from a group of senators requesting that the board of directors for the United States Postal Service stop that upcoming price increase on July 14th. I have not seen anything indicating that they actually did that. So I am, as close as we are now, it's like 3 weeks away. I would assume that is going to go through as intended. DeJoy did, and this will be in next week's podcast as well, but as a spoiler, they did just announce that despite all of the changes and all of the price increases, while revenue is up, their cost of doing business has grown at a faster pace than their price increases, which is not really very attractive, and they actually lost more money than they did the year prior, so things are still not going well at USPS. Big Dre, a buyer canceled in messages not through eBay, so I didn't notice until I shipped it. The buyer then said, "Why didn't you cancel? Why did you take my money?" So I canceled it and got the FedEx package back. Yes, it is I really don't like when buyers just send you an email. There is a process on eBay where they can request a cancellation. Probably half my buyers who request cancellations, and it doesn't happen all that often, do that process. But the other half, they send me a message that says, "Hey, can you cancel this?" And as long as I get it before I've shipped, and I've got notifications on my phone. So when I get a message on eBay, even if I'm technically not working, I can look at that and say, okay, I see what's going on here. I can take care of that. I may not do the cancellation right at that moment, but at least I know in the morning when I'm going to pick and pull orders, I can just skip that one. I don't have to pull it, and I'll just take care of canceling it in the morning. But yes, it is. If you're not checking your messages regularly, you can miss one. You're, as far as I know, you're within your rights to not accept a cancellation, particularly after it's shipped. If you didn't see the message, that's on them. They did. Again, this is just my opinion. They didn't follow the available process to request a cancellation, because you would have gotten a notice in your seller hub that said a customer has requested a cancellation, and then you would have known. But because they just sent you a message and didn't follow the proper procedure, which again, educating customers should be part of eBay's job, but we all know that has not worked out particularly well. Anyway, so yeah, we got those shipping increases to look forward to coming up in a couple of weeks. I will probably recap those again as we get a little closer. Mostly the impact affects media sellers. And of course, it predominantly affects those of you who offer free shipping, because it's going to increase your cost of doing business. If you're charging the customer's shipping, it obviously raises your price. And if you've priced it to be very close to the lowest price, this price increase of what amounts to, in some cases, 50 plus cents may change how competitively your listing looks. But at least you won't be on the hook, other than the increased eBay fees, whatever they're getting there, 13% or 14% on the extra 50 cents, which I guess in the scheme of things is not that big a deal, but it does add up if you're doing 400 or 500 sales a month. It's a good way for eBay to make more money without actually having to increase your fees. Again, that's the cynic in me coming out maybe a little bit, but so we got that going on. Have not seen any recent updates from Mercari. We talked about a couple of weeks ago their big layoff. That still has not popped up in any of my mainstream kind of news feeds as newsworthy. It was available on a couple of the specific sites. Value Added Resource had an article about it. I think E-commerce Bytes talked about it. But there was nothing in if you just do Google News and search Mercari, I didn't see anything other than that about that. So that has really stayed under the radar for people. I've not seen any further discussion about changes in what they're going to do with fees or whatever. Haven't seen any updates on whether their current promotion is doing very well or not. I know from what I looked at the other day, no one has signed up using my link to try to sell over on Mercari and take advantage of their zero selling fees. So shameless plug, there is a link, a referral link, affiliate link in the show notes in the video description below. If you go over to Mercari and do before, I think it's July 15th, and you add 100 listings, you get a $100 credit, and the referrer gets a $50 credit. So we both win. So if you're inclined to try out Mercari, there is a link down there. Go give that a shot. As somebody mentioned earlier, one sale on Mercari over the weekend. Last week, I think I had one sale on Mercari. I've had one so far this week. So it's really slow over there in the categories that I sell in. I know a lot of people do really, really well on Mercari. Books does not seem to be one of those. When I do listings for CDs, Blu-rays, that sort of stuff, I do pretty well. Books, I continue to list over there because it's free, but it's not been a significant piece of my business. You can let me know in the chat how you're doing with Mercari. If you're on there, if you're not, why are you not on Mercari? I'm just curious. I'm not trying to pass any judgment. I'm just curious why you're not listing over there, especially now that it's free. It is obviously one more thing to keep track of. And if you're not generating a ton of business over there, maybe you would tend to forget it. But again, for free, why not throw the listings up over there and see what you get? Where are we at here? We're at about 45 minutes, so another 10 or 15 minutes if you've got anything else, reselling related or otherwise. If you want to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers' recent hire of J.J. Redick as their head coach, that's pretty interesting. If you're a sports person at all, that was a weird one to me. But yeah, anything you'd like to talk about in the next 15 minutes, speak now or hold your peace until next week. I'm guessing it's a lot easier on your end to enjoy your coffee when you're not having to try to talk all the time. Media picker, but Redick is a genius. Yeah, I know a lot of people say, I was watching somebody yesterday that said that Mike Krzyzewski had told him that that Redick had the highest basketball of IQ of any player he had coached, which is pretty high praise. He obviously seems to connect well with people. His podcast has been, for me, it's been must listen. He's fantastic at that. Whether that translates into being a good coach in the NBA, I really don't know. Speaking of, just talk about all kinds of random stuff. Speaking of basketball, who here is a Caitlin Clark fan? I love watching her play. She is so good. More her passing than her shooting. Her ability to see the floor is absolutely remarkable. I played basketball, obviously not professionally, or I wouldn't be reselling. I'd have money in the bank. She is just a marvel. Really enjoy watching her. He'll probably have LeBron's kid to deal with at some point. Yeah, that's an interesting one too. I am not a huge fan of what I've seen from him. I guess he looked really good at their rookie combine, just doing drills, but playing last year at USC, he was nothing to write home about, in my opinion. Media picker, Caitlin Clark is awesome. Yeah, she's something to watch, man. The highlight reels of what she did in college, and I watched the last couple of seasons of her in college as well, was absolutely amazing. She has no fear whatsoever. Moving back to reselling, Big Dre, I'm on Mercari and Poshmark because items that don't sell on eBay sell there, and I think it's because each platform has its designated buyers. Absolutely, and that's why I talk about listing and getting your items in front of as many eyeballs as possible. Each of these platforms, I talk about, in my case, eBay kind of being that middle ground. Mercari is more the value shopper, and Etsy is more looking for I don't want to say higher end, but they're more interested in more collectible and vintage and antique. So they're willing to pay a little more. So just among those three, you have three different economic demographics of buyers that you can appeal to if you're on those sites. So again, cross-listing, whether you do it manually, whether you use a tool like List Perfectly or Vendoo, all of those things help drive business because you're able to target particular buyers where they live rather than trying to get them to come where you live, if that makes sense. Media Picker, I've only had 3 sales on Mercari since the change. It's pretty much dead to me. And I've seen that from a lot of sellers where they've said, it's been a real, I'd be curious to see some stats about how this has worked out because I've seen anecdotal evidence. Some sellers say that their Mercari sales actually got better after the change. And others like you said it's been dead. Mine, after like the initial week that these changes were announced, was totally dead. I didn't sell anything. And then things kind of bounced back to normal. Last week for me, frankly, was fairly slow everywhere. eBay was pretty mediocre, but Etsy and Mercari were both terrible. This week has been a little busier, but it's a bunch of low ticket stuff. So it's been a real weird, like 10-day period. But the Mercari experiment is really interesting to me because it has affected obviously different sellers and not necessarily even different categories, but it seems like different sellers in different ways. And it's just a really strange situation over there. I'd be curious to talk to somebody at Mercari to see how things are going overall. Obviously, they just laid off 45% of their staff, so they can't be going great. But I'd be curious how they feel about the program. I know the CEO said that it had not led to the short-term bump that they were hoping for, but they obviously want to continue to push for that, hoping that it pays some dividends down the road. I think Mercari needs to be upfront about the additional charges to the buyer instead of at the very end at checkout, says Media Picker. And I absolutely agree with that. I think I talked about it when this was first announced. It's kind of like the Ticketmaster model where you think you're buying a $100 ticket to see a band, and then you get to check out, and there's a service fee and another fee, and your $100 ticket is $150 or $170. It's sticker shock. And I've had numerous buyers who have seen one of my episodes about that particular issue that have commented, and I talked about a couple weeks ago. I did the exact same thing. I thought I had found a deal on a piece of hardware kit that I wanted for my setup here that I thought was going to be cheaper on Mercari. And when I got to checkout and the fees came on, it suddenly was not less money than I could get it for elsewhere. So that it leaves you in somewhat of a competitive disadvantage, particularly if you're selling something that is relatively common. If you've got something pretty unusual, maybe it doesn't matter as much. But if you've got something that's pretty common, you almost are forced to adjust your price to account for those fees. And as I said, when this thing all started back in March, at that point, you can say whatever you want. We are still, as the seller, paying the fee. Because if I'm discounting my item to account for the 10 or 15% that the buyer is going to have to pay, I'm subsidizing that. So I'm still paying that fee, even though it's not coming out on Mercari's books as having come from me. But because I've discounted it, it absolutely is. So I'd be curious what anybody else has to say about that. Better Health Blessings, I'm not positive. I've had ghost listings, and it wasn't just a mistake on my part, but I was able to drop ship off Amazon as it was a common product. Yeah. If it's something that's easily accessible, I talked about this, I think, in the Monday podcast. My stuff that is not the case. I'm selling an old vintage book, and there may be others of them out there, but they're not going to look exactly like the one I had. If I've got a book from 1865, for instance, they're all going to have wear and tear in different areas, and it's just not. I could source another one, but I'm still not going to meet my shipping time, most likely, and it's not going to be the item that I described or photographed in my listing. So it's really, really fraught with peril for someone like me if it happens. If it's a fairly common item that you can resource somewhere else quickly and get it out, then you're not in as big a mess. But for somebody like me that's selling kind of one-off stuff, it can be a real problem. Better Health Blessings, I did check my listings on that site the other day for duplicates, and I found 3 listings in my 8,500 item store. That is a helpful site for sure. Refresh my memory, which site are you talking about there? that you were able to check your listings for duplicates. That would be really helpful. I'm not using, I think List Perfectly probably has that capability, but I don't use it that way, and I'm not looking. I don't go back. Once I've listed an item, I rarely, unless I get a question on it, I rarely go back and look at it again. Every now and then I'll do a quick search for like my highest priced, maybe 50 items, and take another look to see if they're still competitively priced, but I'm not double checking 11,000 items to see if they're all in my warehouse and all in the same bin that I listed them in. Which somebody talked about, I don't know if that was on Instagram the other day. We were talking about this issue of the ghost listings, and they made the comment that they had put an item in the wrong bin, in the wrong inventory location. And that's something that I've done. I probably have maybe 3 of those, maybe 4 a quarter, where I put the custom SKU in eBay as B1 and I accidentally put the item in B2 or in A1 or whatever. I'm fortunate enough that I know how my brain works, that I'm usually able to find them, because I'll go back. Sometimes I'll go to that bin and I'll look at the other things, and it'll kind of jog in my memory. Okay, I know I was working on this, and I also was working on a different bin, and then I can find the stuff. I've only got, I think, 3 item defects right now over whatever it would be, almost 1,200 items sold in the last 90 days. So not terrible. It's like 0.32%. So I've not had a lot of items that I've lost. Actually, I haven't had any that I've lost. I found a couple that were damaged. Again, going back to my roof blowing off my warehouse last spring, I just found one the other day where it was in the bottom of a box. I didn't see it. It had gotten wet and it had water damage, and I had to not ship the item. I canceled the sale. So that's the kind of thing that happens, but I haven't actually lost anything in a couple of months. Big Dre, I tried buying something on Depop and I got a message saying the seller is no longer active. So why are they still visible? Even on Mercari, the buyer never shipped the item or responded. Ghost sellers. I did a video of a long time ago, it's probably a couple years ago, about why are some sellers so bad at it. And I assume these are probably not like professional sellers that are trying to do this to make a living. This is somebody that threw 1 or 2 things up on Depop and then forgot they were even there and closed their account or whatever the case may be, were not active. But there are a lot of instances, and you see it if you're researching items and you look at some of the sellers' feedback. It's amazing how often sellers either don't ship at all or they ship the wrong item. I have a friend of mine that I was having dinner with the other day, and he ordered a part for his car, and the original OEM part apparently is plastic, and he specifically did not want a plastic part. So he found a seller on eBay who sells this exact part but in stainless. So he ordered this item from this seller on eBay. He paid up for it because it was supposedly stainless, got it home in the mail, opened it up, and it's the plastic part. Why? Why would you do that? It's going to lead to a return, to bad feedback, potentially. I just don't understand. I mean, and maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was an accident. I get it. Those things happen. But the frequency with which it happens on these sites is pretty amazing. And again, the site itself, they clearly know that the seller is no longer active, yet the listings continue to show. There ought to be some mechanism, you would think, if they deactivate or remove a seller, that their listings automatically go away, but maybe that's a bridge too far. Media Picker, I've noticed sellers on eBay getting worse, even with good feedback. I've had some recent purchases where I was missing CDs or some were burned, etc. It's frustrating. I've done a few videos on them. I've seen those pop up, actually, with your little angry face in the YouTube thumbnail. About kind of bulk buys and not getting quite what you expected. And again, it makes it harder for all of us. That was the point of my initial video on this topic. It makes it more difficult for good sellers on eBay to be successful, because once you've had a bad experience on eBay, and again, a lot of buyers don't seem to understand that when they're buying something from eBay, they're not actually buying it from eBay. They're buying it from you, or they're buying it from me. and they have one bad experience on eBay. They get the plastic part instead of the stainless steel part, or they get a CDR instead of an actual CD. And all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm just not shopping on eBay anymore. And there are tens of thousands of perfectly good sellers who would be able to fulfill their needs that are losing business because bad sellers, or maybe not even bad, but people just aren't paying enough attention to what they're doing, are causing customers to have bad experiences on the site. So again, you can let me know what your take is on that, but that is very frustrating to see, because knowing how eBay works and how the buyer, the clientele comes and goes there, one bad experience can sour you on the whole site. And you've seen the same thing with Mercari. Speaking of the way those fees are structured, I've had several people that commented on previous videos that they deleted the app. They're just never going back to Mercari because of that fee. And it's going to be really difficult for Mercari to win those people back, because once they've left the site, they're not getting any communication. They're not getting those $10 coupons. They're not getting any of that stuff. Once you've burned a customer, whether it's the site itself or the individual seller, that perception is there that is a place I don't want to shop, and that is rough. Media Picker, I appreciate you watching. Hey, no problem. I appreciate you watching and showing up for these lives when you're supposed to be working. Better Health Blessings. Mercari hasn't been too shabby lately. Now I'm working on adding Poshmark. Let me know how you like Poshmark. I don't really have anything that I would sell over there, so it's not a site that I would use personally, but I'm always curious what people's experiences are with those other platforms, because despite the fact that I only sell on 3, I do try to cover on this show what those other sites are doing. So I always like getting feedback on whether people are having success on those platforms or not. With that, we are essentially at the hour mark, so I think it's time to wrap this up. As always, I appreciate everybody coming out and spending an hour or so with us here at the Galaxy. Hopefully you got something useful out of the recap of the Summer Seller Update. Not a ton of stuff there, but some interesting tidbits. Thank you, as always, for the chat and the conversation. If you're watching the replay and you have any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will either address them there or in a future episode. If you did get something out of this, please do me a favor. If you're watching on YouTube, and hit that thumbs up button. I always ask for that too late, but I got to admit, it drives me nuts when I watch a video and like 10 seconds in, they're asking for me to like the video. You haven't even given me anything yet. I don't know. But anyway, if you did get something, hit that thumbs up button. Feel free to share the show or the channel with anybody that you know that might also appreciate it. With that, I'm going to call it a day, folks. We will see you next week. You have been listening to the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you again next time.